live. Um, my internet connection seems a little loopy today, but as long as it, uh, eye itchies, sorry, got eye itchies. As long as the internet connection holds up, I'll chat with whoever's chatting. Oh, I'm bored. I'm used to being home with just me and the cat. Not a problem, but I am not used to everybody else also sheltering in place. Yes, I'm sitting in Great Granny's rocking chair. I always do. I don't always rock, but I am today because I'm bored. Where is everybody? The world is so quiet and empty of people. At least comes around to demand food. I seem to have two spare cats now. I thought that little black kitty's humans came back for him, but they just came back for their stuff and abandoned him again. Very friendly little kitty cat. So I feed him, and when the weather is better and I can leave the doors open, he'll be welcome inside the house with little Tora, who's a monster. Say hi to the people. Say hi. Show them your pretty eyes. Yeah, see, there's a kitty here in the computer. See? Say hi. Oh, she's twice the size she was when I first got her. I think she's a little fat too. She's heavy. Yeah, I know. You're not that kind of cat. She's not a cuddler. Well, anyway, good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of Ancient of Days, coming to you live from deserted downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino of Southern California's Inland Empire, where our economy, by all rights, should be booming, at least for takeout food and groceries, because everybody and his cousin is coming up from the flatland down the hill because they heard that our stores had toilet paper and pet food and milk and eggs. Well, yeah, they did. I'm very fortunate that a local small shop owner provided some toilet paper and just two rolls. And I was able to give one roll to a neighbor who needed it. And that shop had milk in the little quart cartons. I can't lift a gallon. I'm 30 pounds underweight. Used to be 35, so I'm making progress. I'm 30 pounds underweight and 2 inches shorter than I used to be. So, no, I cannot lift 10 pounds, which is a gallon of milk or a bag of cat litter. However, I'm getting by just fine, and I have good neighbors on both sides, plus across the street. People are freaking out about people coming up from Los Angeles bringing the virus. I got news for you. Some of our full time residents have been working in Los Angeles, and the virus has been here probably at least since December and possibly since November. So in this mobile society, you've probably been exposed. That doesn't mean you got ill, doesn't even mean you caught it. But we don't. It's counterproductive to shut the barn door after the cows run off. Yeah, my grandparents grew up on the farm. Well, actually, Granny was one of many, many children, so she was sent to Maryland to live with her cousins. Oh, wow, Oswald. Well, anyway, her cousins treated her as a servant, but she got to go to school in the city. Granny was a redhead and quite the firebrand when she was young, but her mother would not allow her to get her hair bobbed like the city girls. She had was required to keep her hair long. Now I like my hair long, but I was going to get it bobbed, cut short. But even though it isn't strict required, the hair salons have shut down out of an abundance of caution because you really could, um, you're in close contact with your customers. Probably not a good idea. Two groups of more than two in Germany? Well, in this little town, I have seen here and there two people walking together, but mostly it's individuals. For example, one woman sends her husband into town and she stays in the house. Another one sends his wife and he stays in the house. One of them has to watch the kids. And of course, the schools are closed, so people are getting to know their children and their spouses. I saw on Facebook a post that said, uh, day day 14 or day 20 of no televised sports. There's a woman sitting on my couch. Apparently, she's my wife. She seems nice. I thought that was really cute. Anyway, I am bored. I'm used to getting interrupted by various people knocking on the door or calling me on the phone. The phone still might ring, but it's not likely. Okay, one lady shopped for me and got cat coffee, the essentials. Wouldn't let me pay for it. Another lady just came to the door with cat food and people food, and uh, that's where the 2 rolls of toilet paper came from. They didn't actually sell them to me, but they would have. Anyway, she gave them to me, and I gave one to Christy around the corner. Well, our local restaurants, Oswald, are doing deliveries themselves and curbside service for takeout. Apparently, you have to call them up or go to their website. You don't go inside to order. So you need a plastic card to pay, or else you give them cash at the door. I really am not low on food. It might not be my favorite foods, but I have food. And since the Lioness chili cook-off was canceled, I might just make a big pot of chili and share it with the neighbors. Oh, one of my neighbors, the dreaded weekender, this is his vacation home, but he and his wife came up here to ride out the nonsense. When he got up here, he brought me a Costco rotisserie chicken. It was awesome. Took Tora and me almost a week to eat it all. I actually have one of the a breast and a leg in my freezer. We made all kinds of chicken stuff. And then the other day I had this craving for turkey tetrazzini, which is a Stouffer's frozen food, in my thinking anyway. And I looked around. I didn't have any turkey, but I had a can of tuna. So I cooked some noodles and a can of mushroom soup. If that doesn't ring your bell, you can use, say, cream of asparagus, cream of broccoli, cream of anything green. Or could do potato, but whatever. Cream of celery. That Yeah, because it should have had celery in it, but I put in frozen peas. Anyway, you drain the noodles, pour them in a baking dish, pour the soup over them, and the frozen peas, and the tuna. Mix them up real good. Celery, if you have it, cut in tiny pieces. Um, so you can get a bite that has the tuna and the celery and some noodles. Top it with breadcrumbs. I didn't have breadcrumbs, so I made some toast and crumbled it up. Because I actually have bread. Haven't needed to go to the store where, yeah, they have bread, but it's the cheap stuff, like cheap imitation Wonder Bread. Anyway, then you bake it just to kind of finish it. 20 minutes at 350 in my toaster oven. And then I let it cool for 15 or 20 minutes so the cream soup can get a little thicker. It gets thicker while it's baking and then even thicker while it's cooling. Anyway, it was tasty. Wish I had chunks of turkey though. I guess I could have used the chicken, but I didn't think of it. Now I don't have any more cream of mushroom, but my plan is to cut the chicken into chunks and make a chicken tetrazzini with not cream, um, New England clam chowder. Maybe I don't need the chicken for that. Clams are meat, clams are protein. Yeah, that'd work better. No chicken, just the clam chowder. And it'll be clam tetrazzini. In my experience, though, in those cans of soup, you're lucky if you can discover a teeny uh, scrap of clam in it. They cut them up too small. Yeah, DoorDash might be making a killing and Uber Eats, but as I said, our restaurants deliver, most of them do. And of course, the pizza place that remained open has delivery. I forget which pizza chain it is. We um, actually have one that's just a local, not a franchise, and we have one that is a franchise, but I forget which one it is. Oh, we have other restaurants that make pizza too, but Tony's is closed. They just shut their doors. Shame. Anyway, I should be cleaning the house. I should do dishes. I got the mop ready to mop the kitchen floor so I can put the new tiles on top of the old ones. Let me grab the tiles. You see how one little corner of my kitchen floor is vinyl tiles, and the rest is that fake wood. It's plastic but made to look like wood. And it was all I had, but it really isn't the right thing for a kitchen, so I'm going to cover the whole thing with this. I have all the tiles I need, purchased with money donated to my GoFundMe page. I kind of think this is a nice, light, bright color, and it's upside down. It'll make my kitchen seem brighter, and I can tell whether it's clean just by looking because dirt will show up. And you want your kitchen to be sanitary. Now, granted, I don't cook on the kitchen floor. At least it wasn't shag carpet. One place I ran for the kitchen, it was kind of neat. You could, if you spilled, you could lift out one square and put it in your washing machine with your laundry, and then put it back. They weren't glued down; they were just kind of sticky rubber on the backside. Yeah, I wouldn't carpet the kitchen. It's too difficult to keep it clean, and if you drop something, it's harder for the cat or the dog to grab it and eat it. Well, anyway, I also have to finish the shower floor. My tiny bathroom doesn't have a tub. There's no room for one, but it has a shower, and I have the tiles. My problem is, well, hi, Sleepy Dave. My problem with the shower floor is that the existing floor is flat and water pools up on it. So I'm looking for tips and suggestions and advice on how to make it higher around the edges so the water will run down to the drain in the center. Yeah, Dave, how are you? And is it Melody or Melanie? I keep forgetting. I think it's Melody. Well, anyway, got all these things to do and all this stuff. We finally have a sunny day, so I'm tempted to take things outside for sorting. You know, keep, trash, donate, sell. Very good, Sleepy Dave. But it's supposed to rain again in a few days, and I don't have enough room in the house to really sort through things. Ah, boy. Just looking at all this stuff makes me throw up my hands in despair, but I've got to do it. Virtual school. Yeah, we have that up here, but not all of our, believe it or not all of our students have internet access. They've always relied on the local library, which is closed. I think our schools ought to get together with the county and ask for access to the library for their students, maybe in groups of 3 or 4 at a time. I mean, those who have internet can stay home. Oh, hi, Sandra. Good to see you. Let's see. I should type something in chat just to let you know I'm here. There we go. Oh, well, this is the mountains, Sleepy Dave. No free Chromebooks for us. And it isn't just the Chromebook, you have to have an internet connection. I don't think. Oh, Sleepy, they think my last name is cuss word. Come on. There we go. I always have to moderate anything with my last name in it. It's kind of like The Penultimate Truth by Philip K. Bad word. Warning, warning. Danger, Will Robinson. Philip K. Dick. But if you don't have internet at home, we have poor people who don't have internet at home. They've always used the coffee shops and the libraries. So unless the Chromebook comes with free internet, it's useless. LOL, Oswald. I think I'll type that. My last name is not a cuss word. I married one. I got the name Honest and Fair. Horse Lover Fat. Hi, Google account. I don't remember your real world name. I think I knew it at one time. I recognized the little icon, but I'm terrible with names. Names, dates, sometimes even faces. JC. Okay. Anyway, I've been listening to N.T. Wright, a scholar, Anglican bishop, and I guess he still is a bishop. He's just not actively serving as one. Apparently, he is now a professor at some university. I forget which one. And in the past, he has taught at McGill in Canada and at Oxford and Cambridge in England. I forget where he's teaching now, or he was last year, 2 years ago. I'm still stuck in 2019, the date of the first Blade Runner movie. It's in the past now. Anyway, his one lecture is, I have to keep listening over and over. He's talking about eschatology and apocalypse. Yeah, hi, Strontium. You write code. I once learned Commodore Basic, but that was in the dark ages. I had a Commodore 64, and then a year later I got a 128. It had 128K RAM, but no memory, no hard drive. No, Elijah won't return to convert the Jews. First off, apocalypse means revelation. It is not the end of the world. When John wrote his book, Revelation, he was writing in Greek and he called it apocalypse, which means to uncover. Literally, to pull something out from behind the curtain, like on Let's Make a Deal, where they trade all these fabulous appliances for what's behind the curtain, and it turns out to be a donkey with a sombrero on his head. Surely you all know about Let's Make a Deal with Monty something, Monty Hall. It was kind of like The Price is Right without the quiz about prices. Yeah. People would dress up in wild costumes, hoping that Monty Hall would pick them to get free prizes. Multiple gigabyte solid state hard drive. My hard drive still spins, but I think it's 5 gigs. I'm good. Well, that's because you write code, Strontium. You need an external hard drive to put things on. That's what the tech guy says on the radio. Um, I forgot his name again, but he's on KFI. He's probably still on KFI right now. Oh no, I was listening to the House Whisperer. The tech guy is on Saturdays. I got bored because it's just not my thing. He's explaining how to use all kinds of expensive gadgets that I don't own. I almost got his name, it floated into my mind. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He has a website and stuff like that. You filled many gigabytes, eh? I imagine my next hard drive will need to be solid state because the ones that spin do wear out. As attested to by my dead refurbished Dell laptop. It isn't completely dead, but when I turn it on, it goes, "Eh, eh, eh." So it's on its way. Some nice person, was it last year or the year before? I think it was 2 years ago, bought me this little Acer laptop. No, I don't know the Monty Hall problem, Strontium. Can you enlighten us? Does it have to do with randomness? Statistics. You know what? I think it was Mark Twain. It might no, it had to be the radio guy in the 20th century. Oh come on, brain. The comic, the Oklahoma cowboy comic. Maybe that's enough info for Google to tell me his name. I think the 1920s. Rogers. Will Rogers. Oh dear, salmon contain the wisdom of the world. I must be very wise. I love salmon with lemon and garlic. Oh, they've renamed something strong kill the guy and eat him. It's a very old problem of how to maximize your chances of winning instead of getting a goat. Well, at least on let's make a deal. You can look at people's facial expressions and body language to get some idea of what they think. The Celtic Tale of Finnegas, the woodland hermit, this is from Oswald, who devoted his life to catching and eating the salmon that contained the wisdom of the world. Well, if you listen to N.T. Wright, what you really want is the divine wisdom, not the worldly wisdom, although both are pretty good. You see, the idea that the world is coming to an end isn't really biblical. Yeah, I know Jesus said this generation shall not pass away before they see God in his glory or something like that. But they saw it when Jesus was at the Mount of Transfiguration. I forget which mountain it was. Probably, well, I better not guess. I don't remember. But he started to glow and all this stuff. Anyway, I'm kind of into Celtic myth, but I need to get into it deeper because I want to write a novel about the Irish hero Cuchulainn. He's sort of an Irish. Why do I keep going blank? I think Arnold Schwarzenegger played this ancient hero guy. What was his name? Conan. Yeah. Cuchulainn is sort of an Irish Conan the Barbarian. Cuchulainn's father was one of the gods, Lug of the Long Hand. Thank you, Strontium. Yeah, Conan. You know, all these years I thought that Burt Reynolds played the guy in Zardoz. It was Sean Connery. Oops. Anyway, he looked cute in his red bikini pants. Oh well. I love that movie, Zardoz. I get the feeling we're living in Zardoz. But see, apocalypse is not the end of the world. It's revelation, revealing the truth in that book about God. Let me turn off the heater. It's actually warm in here. Wow, it's sunny outside. Cool. I might get to work in the garden today and take out the trash and stuff. Well, I never, I don't know whether Phil read any of the Conan or other Robert E. Howard novels, but there's a good chance that he did, at least as a teenager. I don't know. Let's see. When did Robert E. Howard write? Robert E. Howard books. See if they were even available. Oh, yeah, Queen of the Black Coast was published in the 30s. And People of the Black Circle. There's a good chance that he did, but thought that he had outgrown that childish literature. I love a good story. I'm not a snob. Phil did talk quite often about H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu and all that. I didn't get that in out of Zardoz. I mean, the main character was allowed to impregnate women anytime he wanted. Uh, Strontium. Anyway, yeah, well, I have a real problem with the feminazis. Originally, the women's movement was inclusive. It was about caring about people who were different in whatever way, different skin color, different abilities. different worldviews. It was about supporting each other. And we even let men join the women's club at the college. Now I think we require men to join. Well, they do. I'm not there anymore. But now it's like if you aren't with them, you aren't a real woman. Kind of like if you're a Republican, you can't be black. You're a traitor to your race. If that isn't racist, yes, feminazis. Ugh, they hate me because I like men and I allow them to be men. Hmm. Oh well. Anyway, back to Revelation. Yeah, in Zardoz, when I don't remember him having a name, but when he learns the truth, he kills all these elite Greek god types, and it turns out that's what they wanted. Very, very symbolic and meaningful. And by the way, I watched the final cut, Blade Runner, the final cut on Netflix because I heard they were taking it down and I didn't know it was there. I like it. It's still nothing like Phil's novel, but it's packed with meaning. Ridley Scott, this is um, the version that Ridley Scott edited himself in the post production, and he uses symbolism and metaphor and nuance. And I love the unicorn, but I'm not really happy with the ending. It's better than this original sappy driving to Northern California together. But I think we should never know A, whether Rachel is in fact a human who lacks empathy, and B, whether she survives. Maybe with a note. But when she steps on the little origami unicorn with her high heel, not on purpose, but just she didn't notice it. That's extremely meaningful. But of course, Ridley Scott is trying to lead you toward his idea that um, Deckard is a replicant, an android, not human. But Phil's real question is whether Rachel really is human. Now, that in the novel, there are other copies of Rachel. They look just like her. The Pris, the pleasure model, looks just like Rachel in the book. But since they're, clones, these androids, they could have cloned Rachel to make Pris, and that does not establish that Rachel is not human. The savage, huh? Sounds reasonable to me, Strontium. Ridley Scott, you know, they say he never even read the novel. At least Hampton Fancher read the book, but his screenplay really did need all the tweaks that the script doctor David Peoples put into it, even though David Peoples didn't think there was anything wrong with the original script. But the fact is that Ridley Scott made all kinds of changes to Blade Runner 2019 while he was directing it. He wrote a lot of stuff and changed a lot of stuff, but what will never change in my mind is the awesome performance by Rutger Hauer, someone whose name I usually remember. He actually rewrote his final monologue as Batty. In Phil's mind, the guy's name was Beatty. Phil just spelled Beatty wrong, so they thought it was Batty. Kind of the way they think Valis is Valus. Oh well. Well, it's supposed to rhyme with vast, the first word. Vast, active. Ah! Anyway, Rutger Hauer is awesome. And Tears in Rain, it isn't actually in the rain, it's Tears in Rain. That speech is so awesome. He wrote it and he delivered it brilliantly. And I'm so sorry that he passed away before I ever got a chance to meet him. Yeah, Ridley Scott thought that Android and Andy sounded too cute, so he decided to call them replicants. He should have called them clones. Although in the second Blade Runner movie they're made from metal parts with serial numbers, they even have tattooed numbers on their eyes, which raises the question, why do they need the Voight Kampff test? Just read the guy's serial number. I think Ridley Scott is testing the waters to see whether his audience will accept Deckard as a replicant. And what happened to the law that made it illegal for the replicants to be on? Um, well, prostitutes soliciting Johns, you know. But then again, why not make and of course one of them is a cop, a Blade Runner. I think Phil's point was quite valid that some humans lack empathy. So they really have no humanity in them. They're sociopaths and psychopaths. I've been playing with this cigarette for 45 minutes. Once in a it just goes out or I don't bother to light it. That's a good thing. Cigarettes are expensive, although one of our local shops cut the price in half because we're all in this together. They're losing money on them, but they're good members of our community. Do I think subhuman? Well, I wouldn't say subhuman, Timothy. I would say defective humans. Subhuman implies the old Nazi thing about Jews and the old extreme right wing KKK thing about black Africans, or the prejudice against people with mental disabilities. The evil internet connection is getting wobbly, but I'll stay on as long as it keeps coming back. Well, you know, sociopaths, let's use that term, I don't think they can be changed. Look at a Clockwork Orange. They made the guy feel pain you know, with this crazy psychological. His parents loved him because he had money. He was just drinking it all in. He was still a sociopath. even if he couldn't listen to Beethoven without going nuts from the pain, and even if he couldn't beat people up without feeling the pain, he was still a sociopath. I haven't actually read the book, so I'm going off the movie A Clockwork Orange. Skin jobs. That's ridiculous. Oh, see, in the second Blade Runner movie, the recent one, they have parts. They're robots. They aren't supposed to be robots. You don't need an empathy test. Avoid comp. By the way, do some research on Voight and on comp, and you'll find out what Phil had in mind with that test. But you don't need that test if they have serial numbers tattooed on their eyes and embossed on their metal bones. Well, I know a sociopath or a narcissist. They're different. Narcissists want to be worshipped. Sociopaths want you to trust them so they can stab you in the back. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. My oldest brother was a sociopath. Mom was a sociopath. Some of my step siblings are sociopaths. Or psychopaths, either way. It's just more politically correct to say sociopath unless they're serial murderers who eat their victims. Then they're psychopaths, like in Silence of the Lambs. I watched Blade Runner 2049 twice. Then I started writing about it, and then I watched it a third time so I could tear it to shreds in my most recent book, Blade Runner creator Philip K. Dick. Oh, strontium, there's all kinds of stuff about blood types. Like, if you're Rh negative, you're supposed to be um, part space alien. I don't know, Timothy. I think Ridley Scott just wants to make Deckard a replicant so he and Rachel can live happily ever after or whatever. Modwiz has a YouTube channel? I gotta check that out. I've been remiss. I haven't looked for him. Well, oh well, Gnostic. See, the end of the world stuff leads to Gnosticism because, according to Albert Schweitzer, who got it from an academic whose name I never remember, time. Well, that's a misunderstanding. So, one of the explanations for why it didn't come to an end in the first century is that it was a mystical experience of God giving you heavenly knowledge. Gnosticism. Almost Gnosticism. In Gnosticism, God is just this force. It's almost Buddhism, where when you die, if you're good enough and you have the gnosis, the knowledge, the divine knowledge, you get to go join God. But God isn't He or Father or any of that. God is it. And when you join God, you disappear. You don't exist anymore because you're part of the one. And since the one doesn't have parts, you just kind of dispersed all through the one. with no self awareness, no memories, no nothing. You're just part of the one it that the Gnostics call God. Well, I gotta find Modwiz. I see him all over the place. Anyway, I'm Rh negative. It really has nothing to do with rhesus monkeys. It was the fact that this particular reaction when positive human blood was mixed with negative human blood, the reaction that they saw in the microscope looked like something that they had seen among rhesus monkeys. But the Rh negative lacks a certain factor and is therefore allergic to Rh positive, which has that factor. Now, my mother was the second Rh positive baby born to their mother in the Depression at home. And I think she just might have been brain damaged. I'm definitely looking for Modwis, especially if he talked about RH. Miguel there's others. Tim Schwartz and Tim something. These are names I couldn't remember last time I was talking about Gnostics. Anyway, Philip K. Dick decided that since the world had not come to an end, and Jesus said it would, we're still in the first century. We're in a Roman prison, we just don't know it. Well, that's a misunderstanding. John, who wrote Revelation, was in exile on the island of Patmos sometime after the crucifixion. And he was still setting the revelation in the future, not the end of the world, but the revealing of things we don't know because they haven't been revealed. Well, Phil might be right. I don't want to think so. I do think that as a metaphor, it works very well. We're in a black iron prison in ancient Rome. Nothing has changed. Oh, yeah, we have great technology thanks to the 18th and 19th centuries. Great science, great medical science, biological science. But science today, even in the 20th century, was not so much science, not seeking knowledge, as it was developing technology. Hence the bomb and the jet plane and the various gadgets that we all rely on now that don't really save us time and work. They just allow us to do more work in a day than we used to. You know why they didn't do any more work 200 years ago than we do now? Well, they just didn't clean things as often. They'd wear the same clothes over and over without washing. They'd take the rug out once a week or even once a month and hang it on a cable and beat it with the whacker thing to get the dust out. They just were not as picky about cleanliness. Once things like the vacuum cleaner and electric floor scrubbers were invented, all of a sudden we got more picky about how clean our house was. David Icke. Well, David Icke started out well, but I think he's gone off the deep end. I'd rather live now with all the gadgets than 200 years ago. I used to say 100, but we're in the 21st century now. I love the technology of the Victorian era. all the machines were made to look beautiful. Now they're kind of like Art Nouveau or Art Deco. They're functional, sort of. Some aren't even easy to use because of their design, but they're useful. I would love to have an old gramophone. I do have a record player. Either it doesn't work or I don't remember how to use it. Not sure which. Probably the latter. I don't remember how it works. There's something to do with lifting the tone arm that makes the turntable start to spin, and I don't have. Well, I'll bet I could find destructions online. That's what instructions are most often, destructions. Oh, even, yeah, oh, the 1950s cars with the fins and all the chrome and stuff. Of course, we didn't have to worry about gas mileage back then. Nowadays, I can't tell a Honda from a Mercedes unless I get a good look at the hood ornament or the thing on the back of the trunk. They're all little round things. Yeah, well, since mom was so lax about cleanliness and sanitation and stuff, um, I probably built up a really good immune system when I was growing up. I remember my two brothers and I scrambling to get our clothes into the hamper on the rare occasions when mom decided to do laundry because we quite often had to wear the same clothes a few days later because she hadn't washed anything in a month. And then she'd complain that we were filling up the hamper and she was never going to get all this laundry done. One of the most wonderful moments of my life was when mom showed me how to do my own laundry so I could always have clean clothes. Anyway, survived long enough to produce children were the survivors of a rough life. And by the way, I hate the natural, the ones they made me read in the American. Dang! There, here we go. I just start to get on a roll. Like Sister Carrie, Theodore Dreiser. It's a novel, but they don't have italics, so I'm putting it in quotes. Everybody in that novel who isn't a upper class elite, if not wealthy, at least, middle class, is doomed to a brutish life that ends early. I don't like those. Jack London was also a naturalist. Now, at the end of, yeah, having net problems, it keeps getting unstable. Anyway, in The Call of the Wild, I like when the dog decides. I like when the dog gets to run wild at the end. Enforcing rigid what? Strontium. Well, anyway, in his short story, To Build a Fire, I don't like the ending, but it's typical naturalism. The guy makes the mistake of traveling alone on foot in the frozen tundra, or at least really cold, snowy place in the Alaskan gold fields. And he needs to build a fire so he won't freeze to death, but he can't do it because it's snowing and his fingers are so cold it's hard for him to light a match. He's doomed. We aren't all predetermined. We are limited. Our choices are. Hi, Sue. We have limited choices, but we do have choices. I didn't see Call of the Wild, but a friend did. And apparently there's no dog in the movie. It's all CGI. Yeah, Ubik is ubiquitous. That's where Phil got the word. There's quite a lot about Ubik in his exegesis, which I'm still reading. I'm reading it slowly so I can write little pencil notes in the margins and use quotes that I think are relevant to my book, The X in Exegesis. Now, if I remember correctly, the original movie of Call of the Wild had a husky playing the dog. At least the new movie got it right. The dog is a Saint Bernard. But I haven't seen it myself. Gotta at least cut down on smoking. I will be back. All right, that's better. I'm doing layers. It isn't that cold today, but I still have thermals and then t-shirt and then sweater. When it's really cold, I add a jacket on top of the sweater. Yes, Timothy. The in UVic, the coffins are cryogenic. They keep the dead frozen, and they have like a telephone connected to the coffin, so their loved ones can continue talking to them until they're completely dead. And of course, the wealthy people get better coffins and better phones. And as they slowly lose energy and fade away, a little spritz of Uvic can revive them temporarily. As Phil said, and I haven't found the quote yet, but he said Uvic is a study of entropy. And that bothers the editors of the exegesis because Uvic adds energy in the form of heat, and they say heat is actually entropic. Well, it is if you're devolving your energy from energy of motion down to heat. Heat is the lowest energy, but I like to leave it as a paradox. Ubik is the. Oh, it isn't heat that's entropic. I'm sorry. Whoops. Spirit. Um, it's information. Like when Runciter writes on the bathroom wall, "I'm alive and you're dead," and his world is not real. But in UVic, that information is helpful to them. But the energy it provides is actually heat. Now, if information is entropic, that needs explanation, but I can't do it. I'm not up to it. I think it has to do with arranging symbols in a meaningful way uses up energy. Or as the evangelistic lecturers on YouTube like to say, if you saw your name written dug out, you'd say that was done by some sort of intelligence. But when we look at our oh, that evolved from selection. It's worse than that. They're finding that DNA is not the only thing that determines uh, your development from conception through gestation and birth and growth and death and all that. First, there's telomeres, which basically tell the DNA when to start and stop. But there are other things, and it's beginning to look inheritance of wire got taller, they had to reach higher and higher to chew on leaves because that's what they eat. So the mother and father giraffes would be stretching their necks to reach the higher leaves, and their offspring would be born with longer necks. And it's beginning to look as if your experiences in life do change the genetic code that you pass down to your offspring. Seriously damaged. Yeah, anyway, yeah, Phil does say in many parts of his exegesis that Ubik is the Holy Spirit. I'm sorry, my internet is unstable. Uh, oh, come on, you evil computer. Well, it'll probably play quite clearly on a replay, but my internet connection, I've looked into replacing the wireless with a cable service, but people who live around here tell me that Spectrum is not reliable and Frontier is even worse. Uh, let's see. Um, Revelation. Yeah, you read Revelation to the end, The world isn't destroyed. Heaven comes down to earth, and we live in heaven on earth in real physical flesh and blood bodies, in a new body, one that isn't in a new body that so those acts unstable. Doesn't look unstable to me. This is the gadget. It allows me to take it too often. There we go. It says there we go. Uh come on, quit doing this to me. All right. My connection is the dictionary. It will probably say things like all that stuff. All that of what's going to happen in the future. And I have to watch the NT Wright video again. Still streaming. I'm up again. Come on, you evil thing. It just keeps breaking up, but I'll try to deal with it. I have to listen to N.T. Wright again on eschatology. As my brain hurts. But it's basically in Phil's mind, in Philip K. Dick's thinking it was, about how the end of the world affects all the moments in the past in order to lead to the end. So it's like backwards cause and effect. The fact that the ending has to be this causes things in the past to be that, to lead up to it.